the story of last year's season and the loss to NIU has been, I feel like, beat over the head by the media a million times, right? But I do think it is, we're talking about the adversity piece, and we're talking about, like, it is a part of the story of last season. And it's really interesting, like, how you beat Texas A&M, and then, you have that, people call it like a trap game against NIU. And for a week, probably feels like the world's falling apart, right? Everyone's talking about the program, but you found a way to get 18 to 22-year-olds to still buy in and show up and believe that they could play in the national championship game. And I think there's very few head coaches that could have done that. I think it was probably one of the better jobs we've seen of overcoming adversity in a season. I guess talk me through what your plan was after that game. Like, what did you say to the guys? How did you get them to still believe that everything's still in front of us?
Yeah. That loss, I always say, is bigger than what we thought, right? And it taught me and our program so many lessons. As you said, we were on the top of the college football world week 1 with a huge win over A&M, College game day, and everybody was telling us, you guys are locked for the playoffs. Just, you got an easy schedule. And then we're the laughing stock of college football after week 2. And, for me, in my short career as a head coach, that was the first time we won that big game early. We won 9 games my first year, 10 games our second year, but we lost to Ohio State that big game early. And this year was different. We won that big one, and after deep thought, more than schematically and the tactical aspect of winning a game of football, we had to learn how to handle success. I knew there was a lesson, right? And I'm a faithful person, and I'm like, what is the lesson I got to learn other than the tactical things? And I was like, okay, we have to learn how to handle success. And so we often talked throughout the year about keeping the pain. And, as I said earlier, that strength you gain from, the tough times, it's similar to keeping the pain. Like, the fear you have of what happened in the past happening again continues to help you prepare in the right way. And so at times throughout the year, I would remind our guys that, hey, we're still the same team that lost to NIU. If we don't prepare the right way, physically and mentally, right, then we won't deserve to have success on Saturdays. And so I think that's a lesson that's going to stick with me for the rest of my career, is that there is a mental and physical approach you have to every game. And I can watch the way we practice and say, okay, physically we're practicing well. But mentally, we each got to make a decision, starting with the head coach, that we are respecting our opponent in the way this game of football deserves to be respected, or you're going to get humbled. And that's just it was the greatest thing that could have happened to this team, but one I don't want to repeat.
I'm sure. Was there a moment after that game, maybe a few weeks later, where you feel like there was a turning point, or where you kind of said to yourself, like, okay, like, that happened, but we have a pretty darn good team right here, and you kind of were like, okay, our guys are battling back right now.
Well, I think for the few weeks after that, we didn't know, like, we weren't thinking about the playoffs. We were like, hold on, we're 1-1. We just lost NIU. Like, how do we right this ship? And I've often tell our guys we have to trust beyond knowing. I tell them every Saturday, I said, hey, we got to trust that our preparation is what we need to have success on Saturdays, beyond knowing before the game. And that was a lesson that we learned. But I think I think we played Purdue, Miami, Ohio, and then maybe one other team before we played Louisville. Louisville was a top 25 team when we played them. They're also the team that beat us the year before. And when we beat Louisville, I think our guys were able to say, okay, we're a good football team. We're the team that beat A&M. Like, we're a good football team. And then, we started saying, hey, every game's a playoff game, right? If we want to reach these goals that we have in terms of making the playoffs, like, every game we know is a playoff game. And so we had to prepare the right way. And then I think the belief kind of added on as you continue to have those big wins throughout the season.